Starting today, Ferrari returns to the track with the SF23 single-seater. The Scuderia has access to the Barcelona circuit for 3 days of Test Previous Cars program, where Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will have the opportunity to continue their training ahead of the 2025 Formula One season. The FIA regulation introduced this year limits Test Previous Cars to 4 days with a maximum mileage of 1,000 kilometers per driver. During his debut in red, Lewis Hamilton covered only 89 kilometers, and Charles Leclerc managed 42 kilometers due to heavy rain falling on the Fiorano track during his turn. At the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, the weather conditions are expected to be much more favorable, allowing the two drivers to familiarize themselves with the car in preparation for the debut of the SF25, scheduled for February 19th at Fiorano, following a presentation set to be streamed without journalists present. The SF23, of course, must remain at the development stage it was in at the end of the 2023 Formula One Championship. However, both Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will be able to assess what we might call the Loic Serra effect. The driver's work will focus on analyzing two key aspects: tire wear, which was one of the Achilles heels of the car 2 years ago, and starts. Technical director Loic Serra, who was warmly welcomed by the Maranello staff, brings extensive expertise in terms of tire dynamics. The Montmeló test could therefore prove very useful for developing tire management strategies that might also benefit the SF25. Admittedly, the tires used during these sessions are not the ones intended for 2025, which will be less sensitive to overheating, as specific tires are allocated for these tests. Nonetheless, Ferrari will be able to evaluate, alongside the two drivers, how tire behavior changes based on strategies adopted during the warm-up lap, taking into account temperature and inflation pressures. They will then analyze how this impacts tire performance over a stint and its overall lifespan. The other area of focus is the start. The Maranello team's engineers and technicians believe there is still room for improvement, not just in clutch release, but also in general acceleration from a standstill when the lights go out. Electronics experts are continuing to refine launch strategies. While the clutch must be manually controlled by the driver, optimizing power delivery to prevent grip loss relies on the precise synchronization of the internal combustion engine's output with the hybrid system, which only activates above 100 kilometers per hour. The first day on track in Barcelona for Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton began at 9 a.m. The Briton, along with his teammate Charles Leclerc, will spend 3 days on the Iberian circuit as part of the TPC tests, which had already commenced at Fiorano. The Italian side aims to meticulously prepare every detail for the World Championship, which will kick off at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia in March. Ferrari team principal Vasseur is not satisfied with the pre-season tests at the Bahrain International Circuit and seeks to deepen the mutual understanding between the team and the driver with the utmost thoroughness. During the days spent driving the Ferrari SF23, the new teammates under the shadow of the prancing horse will continue the work started at the Fiorano circuit last weekend. Lewis Hamilton will still have approximately 911 kilometers available within the TPC tests, while Leclerc, having completed fewer laps than the Briton on the Italian track, will be able to cover another 958 kilometers behind the wheel of the 2023 Ferrari F1 car. The first day on the Catalan track began with Lewis Hamilton at the wheel under a clear sky. In Barcelona, the temperature is around 12 degrees Celsius. The current weather forecast by Meteo France is currently mixed with little sunshine and potential showers on Thursday afternoon, but the British driver can continue familiarizing himself with the engineers, mechanics, and the entire team. However, the 3-day TPC session that started this morning at Montmeló will not be Sir Lewis's only opportunity to drive the Ferrari before the official tests in Bahrain at the end of February. Scuderia Ferrari will not wrap up its work at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona at the end of Thursday, January 30th, but will remain at the Spanish racetrack. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will return to the track on Tuesday, February 4th, and Wednesday, February 5th, this time for a Pirelli test, using the SF24, last season's F1 car. The 2026 spec tires will continue to feature 18-inch rims, but the front tires will be 25 mm narrower, while the rears will be reduced by 30 mm in width, compared to the 2025 tires. That will see the 40-year-old behind the wheel of last year's car, which won 5 races with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. However, this time the Scuderia will run a modified SF24 single-seater, in an attempt to make the machinery as close as possible to the new rules, presumably with reduced downforce. McLaren is conducting a first Pirelli test at Circuit Paul Ricard on 29, the 30th of January, with rain forecasts throughout the Thursday running, before joining the Maranello team for the Barcelona test in Spain, testing prototype rubber ahead of the technical regulations overhaul in 2026, which includes narrower tires. Logically, there will always be wrinkles in any new partnership, but Ferrari and the British driver will hope to iron those out before the 3-day winter test in Bahrain on February 26, 28. The Scuderia is therefore preparing to fine-tune details that could make a significant difference in a season where the team aspires to compete for both Formula One world titles. At the same time, Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur has hinted that the Scuderia will be eager to start next season with a competitive car to allow itself an early switch to the 2026 F1 project in a bid to fully understand a complete technical overhaul. Ferrari endured a season with ups and downs in 2024. While the team displayed a fairly encouraging performance early on, the team was then unable to keep up with Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren in the development battle, and an unsuccessful aerodynamic update to the floor introduced at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona caused porpoising. The team then managed to turn the situation around as it brought major upgrades to the SF24 in the Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit, which allowed the Scuderia to emerge as a contender for top places until the very end of the season. Such was the improvement in performance that Ferrari kept its title aspiration alive until the checkered flag fell at the season-closing Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Although McLaren ultimately claimed the constructors' title at the Yas Marina circuit, Ferrari had a successful 2024 Formula One season, following a couple of more difficult years. Speaking to the Italian media, Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur has revealed that the Scuderia is eager to maximize the potential of the 2025 F1 car, known internally as 677 Project, in the early stages of the season in a bid to switch its focus onto the all-new 2026 Formula One machine. According to various Italian news media outlets, the French manager explained that while things looked very good on paper, success in Formula One was always relative, as performing well did not necessarily guarantee being ahead of the competition. He acknowledged the strength of rivals such as Red Bull and McLaren. Frédéric Vasseur also noted that the Maranello team analyzed data from the previous evening each morning, emphasizing their goal of maximizing performance early on, as they would need to shift their focus to the 2026 Formula One regulations relatively soon.